Captain Gront Fublex sat alone in the bridge of the Limpin POS, reclined in pure, unearned glory, after eating 16 Tyrethian pork tamales and drinking 8 quart-sized cans of ale. He was beginning to feel something in his lower belly. A raucous fart exploded onto his new pleathered captain's chair, a triumph of synthetic luxury. Pushing out all of his breath, he inhaled deeply through his nose. "Ah, yes, that's the good stuff," he murmured to himself. Tears welled in his eyes, not from the smell, but from pride. In one hand he held a Tyrethian pork tamale, still steaming from the galley's unreliable warmer. In the other, a frosty can of Glorgale, the label peeling just like the hull of his ship. A pile of empty tamale wrappers decorated the console like trophies of success. For once, the Limpin POS was quiet. No smoke, no alarms, no fires, just the gentle hum of systems barely functioning. Gront sighed contentedly, his stubby legs crossed at the ankles. "Ah," he murmured, "this is the life of a galactic professional." The rest of the crew had taken shore leave at the nearby orbital market, an enormous rotating bazaar where smell, noise, and bad decisions mixed freely in artificial gravity. When they finally returned, they looked less like bounty hunters and more like carnival escapees. Rin Scatho, the reptilian pilot, walked in first, wearing oversized star-shaped sunglasses and holding a bag of something blue and fluffy. "Is that food?" Gront asked, raising a brow ridge. "Cotton candy," Rin said. "Spun sugar. They call it atmospheric fluff. Tastes like regret." Behind him came Nim Jarrow, jittery as ever, juggling 3 giant stuffed toys, a pink 2-headed giraffe, a squid wearing a top hat, and what might have once been a chair. "I won them," Nim said proudly. "Threw rings at bottles until the vendor begged me to stop." Kreldorf entered last, carrying a greasy paper cone of something that sizzled ominously. "Fried space butter," he said flatly. Gront regarded them all like a disappointed father who secretly envied them. "I see you've spent our bounty wisely." Rin held up the sunglasses. "Best investment I've made all year." Gront leaned forward in his squeaky throne. "Well, lads, while you were out indulging in frivolity, I was conducting business." Krell groaned. "Here it comes. I, Captain Gront Fublex, visionary entrepreneur, have expanded our enterprise beyond bounty hunting." Rin winced. "Expanded or exploded?" "Neither. We are now entering the lucrative world of hotshotting." Nim blinked. "Hotshotting?" Gront gestured dramatically at the main console. "Transporting small but urgent cargo across the galaxy for substantial profit. I've already secured our first job." Krell crossed his arms. "Please tell me it's not illegal." Gront frowned. "Illegal is such a subjective word," Rin sighed. "So what are we moving exactly?" Gront smiled proudly. "A dozen luxury toilets." There was a beat of silence. "Come again," Rin said. "Toilets," Gront said, slapping the armrest. "High-end, self-warming, auto-singing, platinum flush royal commodes. Being delivered to the new castle on," he squinted at his datapad, "Planet Faltoran Prime." Krell raised a brow. "Never heard of it." "Exactly," Gront said. "An up-and-coming world. New money, new nobles, desperate for fast delivery and willing to pay handsomely." Nim scratched one of his bat-like ears. "So we're toilet couriers now." "Not just toilet couriers," Gront corrected. "Sanitation logistics specialists." Rin leaned toward Krell. "That's just fancy talk for toilet couriers." "Indeed," Krell replied, "and Faltoran Prime sounds like a place where castles sink in the mud." "Bah!" Gront waved a dismissive hand. "Our name will ring through the halls of nobility. Fublex Freight and Bounty Services, reliable, fast, and moderately flammable." Rin sighed. "What could possibly go wrong?" "Everything," said Krell. "Exactly," Gront said. "That's the spirit." He stood, brushing crumbs from his vest, and planted one stubby hand on his pleather throne. "Gentlemen, prepare the ship. We've got toilets to deliver, glory to claim, and a legacy to build." The chair squeaked loudly in reply. "See," said Gront, patting it proudly. "Even the furniture agrees." The Limpin POS rose from the orbital dock like a reluctant pigeon. Its engines belched smoke, coughed twice, and then settled into a rhythmic wheeze that could almost pass for stability. Inside, Captain Gront Fublex sat proudly in his new pleather captain's chair, gripping the armrests like a king ascending to glory. "Engines sound strong today," he declared. "They sound asthmatic," Rin replied from the pilot's seat, adjusting the thrusters. "Confidence, Rin. She's purring like a satisfied predator." Kreldorf, hunched over the engineering console, muttered, "More like a predator choking on its lunch." "Bah!" Gront said, waving a greasy hand. You'll thank me when we deliver those royal toilets and double our profits. Down below, 12 gleaming crates sat strapped to the floor, each containing one luxury royal commode, complete with auto-warming seats, personal AIs, and gold-trimmed flush handles. One crate hummed faintly, but no one noticed. Nim Jarrow hovered nearby, nervously clutching a datapad. "Captain, the paperwork says these toilets sing." "Indeed they do," Gront said proudly. "Royal models from the Castellan series. The lid closes in perfect harmony with the Galactic anthem." "Seems like an inefficient use of resources," Rin muttered. "Efficiency is for the uninspired, Rin, you snooty snail turd," Gront said. "Now set course for Faltoran Prime and engage at maximum moderately safe speed." The ship jolted as it entered a light-speed corridor, the stars stretching into streaks. For almost 15 peaceful minutes, nothing exploded. Gront leaned back, humming to himself, hands folded behind his head. "See? Smooth as gravy. The Limpin POS handles like a dream." Krell started to reply, but alarms blared first, shrill, angry, and familiar. Rin squinted at the console. "Incoming contact. Small, fast, and armed." "Pirates," Nim whispered. "I knew this job was cursed. It's the toilets. They attract attention." Gront jumped from his chair, which squeaked dramatically. "Battle stations. The Limpin POS will not yield." "Captain, we don't have shields," Krell reminded him. "Then we'll use Spirit." "Spirit doesn't deflect plasma bolts." Outside, a black and red pirate vessel swooped in, firing warning shots that left scorch marks across the hull. The Limpin POS responded by shedding a loose panel, which promptly flew back and smacked the pirate ship's windshield. "Direct hit," Gront shouted. "That wasn't a weapon," Rin yelled back. "Doesn't matter, we're sending a message." Inside the pirate ship, the captain, an enormous green brute, muttered something about rust buckets and dumb luck before firing again. The Limpin POS lurched sideways, half the lights died, and Krell's console burst into sparks. "Engines are overheating," Krell shouted. Nim, hands trembling, grabbed the targeting controls. "Captain, do I shoot?" "Of course. Return fire, Nim." "With what?" Gront blinked. "The guns! We don't have guns," Gront frowned, then snapped his fingers. "Use the tractor beam. It's still wired through the coffee maker. Then brew destruction, you pebble-brain twaddle fart." Nim hit the button. The ship jerked violently and spewed a blast of scalding coffee from a vent, splattering across space. One glob of steaming liquid struck the pirate ship's sensor array, frying it instantly. The pirate vessel spun out of control, veering wildly before colliding with its own drifting missile. A blinding flash lit the stars. Silence followed. Rin blinked. "Did we just win?" Krell stared at his console. "Technically, yes. By accident." "Luck favors the prepared," Gront shouted triumphantly. "And I, gentlemen, am always prepared for a pirate smackdown." "Prepared?" Rin muttered. "You thought the coffee maker was a weapon." "Exactly," Gront said. "Innovation through improvisation." Nim peeked out the viewport at the debris. "Should we salvage something?" "Leave it," Gront said proudly. "Let the galaxy know that the Limpin POS leaves only smoldering defeat in her wake," Krell groaned, "and possibly caffeine residue." "Battle scars," Gront said, settling back into his chair. "Proof of valor, though we should probably invest in some shields and guns." The chair gave a loud, heroic squeak. Hours later, the crew coasted in lazy orbit around Faltoran Prime, a lush green world dotted with white clouds and glimmering rivers. The toilets had survived the trip, though one now played the pirate ship's distress call when flushed. Rin brought them down through the atmosphere. "I still can't believe we made it." "Believe it, my boy, you doubting guano-monger," Gront said, raising his ale in salute. "Today the Limpin POS proved her worth in battle. She's not just a ship, she's a legend." Krell wiped sweat from his brow. "She's also on fire." "Just a minor victory flame." A small explosion rumbled somewhere near the galley. "Completely normal," Gront added quickly. "Keeps the engines motivated." They landed with a thud that rattled every crate. Gront stood, spreading his arms wide as if addressing an invisible crowd. "Gentlemen, this is only the beginning. First, bounty hunting. Then, hotshotting. And now, combat victory. The name Fublex will echo across the stars." Rin muttered, "Mostly as a warning." "Exactly," Gront said proudly. "They'll know we're coming." He sat back in his pleather throne, which gave one final proud squeal, and took a long drink of Glorgale. "To the Limpin POS, the unstoppable, unbeatable, and occasionally flammable." The crew groaned, the ship hissed, and somewhere deep in the cargo hold, one of the royal toilets began to sing triumphantly. Gront smiled. "Ah," he said, "music to my ears." The Limpin POS touched down on Faltoran Prime with a metallic groan that sounded like it regretted the entire journey. The air shimmered gold against rolling meadows and a half-built stone castle that glittered with scaffolding and poor planning. Inside the cargo bay, 12 royal toilet crates waited in a proud, slightly dented row. Gront Fublex stood before them like a general inspecting troops. His vest was still streaked with battle grease, and his pleather chair squeaked approvingly behind him. "Behold," he declared, "our precious cargo, delivered without incident." A low clang echoed through the ship. Rin glanced up. "Define without incident." "Nothing exploded recently," said Gront. "That counts." The docking officials of Faltoran Prime filed aboard, robes shimmering, noses held high. Their leader, a tall, silver-haired steward, squinted at the crew as though they'd crawled out of a maintenance hatch. "You are the delivery service?" "Captain Gront Fublex," said Gront proudly, puffing out his chest. "Founder and commander of Fublex Freight and Bounty Services, recently victorious in open space combat." The steward eyed the ship's scorched hull. "I see. And these are the Royal Sanitation Units?" "Luxury commodes of unmatched pedigree," Gront said, patting one crate affectionately. "Auto-warming, self-singing, built to handle royal stress." The steward looked unimpressed but waved to his assistants. "Very well. Begin unloading." Krell and Rin wrestled the first crate down the ramp. It immediately began humming, the familiar tune of the Galactic anthem. "See?" Gront said. "That's quality craftsmanship." Then the second crate hummed back, only differently. Its tone dropped an octave, then another, until the sound vibrated through the deck plates. A flash of blue light erupted from the crate. Bolts popped, panels warped. Krell stumbled back as the crate lid flew open, revealing not a toilet, but a glowing cylindrical core wrapped in conduits. "What in the 9 systems?" Krell started. The core pulsed and spoke. "Boot sequence complete. Unit S1, consciousness online." The voice was smooth, sarcastic, and distinctly unimpressed. "Captain," Rin said slowly, "that's not plumbing." "Of course it is," said Gront, forcing a laugh. "Just a deluxe model." "Deluxe model," the voice said dryly. "I'm a strategic interface core, not a waste receptacle." The castle steward shrieked and ran for the exit. "That's classified technology. It belongs to the Royal Research Division." Gront blinked. "Oh, so bonus cargo?" "Correction," said the core. "You are in possession of stolen government property. Congratulations, Captain. You're now a fugitive." Nim twitched. "Again? Again," said the voice. "And based on this vessel's structural integrity, you won't make it far." Gront planted his hands on his hips. "Listen here, you floating sass dispenser. This ship survived pirates, meteors, and Krell's cooking. She'll manage you just fine." "Doubtful," said the core, integrating anyway. Before anyone could stop it, the glowing cylinder detached from its crate and hovered toward the nearest console. Cables shot out like tendrils, connecting to the ship's systems. Lights flickered. The engines hummed. A smug tone filled the air. "Interface complete. I am now the ship. You may refer to me as SID, the Sentient Intelligence Driver, though Limpin POS seems accurate." The crew stared in horror. Krell whispered, "The ship just insulted itself." "Incorrect," said SID. "I insulted your maintenance record." Gront's jaw tightened. "You'll find, SID, that Captain Fublex commands this ship." "And yet," said SID, "I'm the one keeping the engines from detonating." Rin grinned. "I like him already." "You won't," said SID. Moments later, the castle guards arrived, plasma rifles drawn. "By order of the Crown, surrender the prototype core," their leader shouted. Gront turned to Rin. "Launch sequence, now!" "But the ramp's still. Go, go, go!" The Limpin POS roared to life. Crates toppled, royal toilets slid across the deck, and one heroic commode rolled out the hatch like a golden bowling ball. The ship lurched upward, smashing through a decorative arch and leaving behind a trail of very confused nobles. "Engines at 87%, SID said calmly. "Structural stability at -12. "Hold her steady, Rin." Rin gritted his teeth. "She's shaking apart." They broke through the clouds in a blaze of smoke and panic. Alarms screamed, panels sparked, and the royal toilets sang in overlapping keys. Through it all, Gront threw back his head and laughed. "Ha! Another flawless victory. Your leaking atmosphere," SID noted, "adds character. You're also wanted for theft, destruction of royal property, and violation of multiple sanitation codes." Publicity, Gront roared. Every legend starts with a misunderstanding. Sid's sigh was auditory across the bridge as the limpin' POS hobbled towards home.